Marry, and you will regret it, wrote Søren Kierkegaard. Do not marry, and you will also regret it. Laugh at the world's follies, you will regret it. Weep over them, you will regret that too. This, gentlemen, is the essence of all philosophy. Within this labyrinth of existential paradox lies one of literature's most enduring and tragic figures, the seducer. He is the master of the moment, the connoisseur of conquest, a figure who dances on the edge of the abyss, forever chasing the fleeting spark of new desire. He is Don Juan, the man who promises everything and commits to nothing, a ghost haunting the hearts of those he touches. But behind the mask of charm and the thrill of the chase lies a profound and terrifying emptiness. The seducer is not a hero of love, but a prisoner of his own insatiable hunger, a hunger born not of an abundance of life, but from a deep inner void. To understand the psychology of the seducer is to gaze into the heart of modern anxiety, to confront the terror of meaninglessness, and to see how the endless pursuit of pleasure can become the most desolate of hells. The archetype of the seducer finds its most potent expression in the legend of Don Juan, a figure first brought to the stage in the 17th century Spanish play The Trickster of Seville and the Stone Guest. Don Juan is a nobleman who lives for one purpose, the seduction of women. His goal is not love, nor is it mere sensuality. It is conquest. Each woman is a fortress to be breached, a challenge to his skill, a name to be added to his list. He operates through deception, false promises, and a masterful understanding of human desire, leaving a trail of broken hearts and shattered honor in his wake. Yet he feels no remorse. His journey is a frantic, horizontal flight across the surface of life, never daring to plunge into the vertical depths of genuine connection. The tragedy of Don Juan is not that he is a sinner, but that he is incapable of being anything else. His path culminates in a final defiant act, an invitation to dine with the statue of a man he has murdered, which drags him, unrepentant, into the flames of damnation. His end is not a quiet fading, but a spectacular collision with the consequences he has spent his life evading. Psychologically, Don Juan is the perfect embodiment of what Søren Kierkegaard termed the aesthetic man. He lives entirely in the realm of the sensory, the immediate, the interesting. His greatest enemy is not morality, but boredom. The repetition of a single relationship, the quiet rhythm of commitment, is for him a kind of death. Every new conquest is an attempt to generate a new beginning, to feel the intoxicating rush of possibility one more time. He is a man running from the profound despair that awaits when the stimulation ceases. He lives, as Kierkegaard describes, in a state of rotation, constantly shifting his focus to avoid the confrontation with the self. This endless activity is not a sign of vitality, but a desperate flight from an inner nothingness. The seducer is not in love with women, he is at war with the silence of his own soul. In the language of depth psychology, the seducer is a man possessed by the shadow of the lover archetype. The lover in his fullness is the archetype of connection, of deep feeling, of a passionate and generative relationship with life and with others. He is the mystic, the artist, the man who feels the world's beauty and its pain. The seducer, however, embodies a fragmented and immature aspect of this energy. He is what Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette would call the addicted lover, a man who mistakes intensity for intimacy and possession for connection. He's trapped in a compulsive cycle, seeking a high that can never be sustained. Underneath this active shadow often lies its passive pole, the impotent lover. The seducer's frantic activity masks a deep-seated fear that without the constant validation of conquest, he is nothing. He feels an inner deadness, a lack of vitality, and each seduction is a desperate attempt to steal a spark of life from another, to feel alive, if only for a moment. This pathology is rooted in a profound disturbance in his relationship with the anima, the archetype of the feminine within his own psyche. A man integrates his anima by building a conscious and respectful relationship with his inner world, of feelings, moods, and creative impulses. But the seducer does not relate to his anima, he projects her. Every woman he encounters becomes a blank screen upon which he projects the image of the perfect divine feminine. He falls in love not with a person, but with a fragment of his own soul that he sees reflected in her eyes. The conquest is an attempt to possess this projected image, to capture the goddess and make her his own. But no mortal woman can bear the weight of such a divine projection. Inevitably, her humanity emerges, her flaws, her needs, her own separate identity. The projection shatters, the goddess vanishes, and all he sees is an ordinary, imperfect woman. Disenchanted, he must move on, forever seeking the next perfect vessel for his unrealized soul. He is chasing a ghost, and the ghost is himself. This restless pattern is inextricably linked to the archetype of the Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy. The seducer is the boy who refuses to grow up. He is Peter Pan in the world of romance, living in a neverland of infinite possibilities. Commitment for him represents a kind of death, the death of the fantasy that someone better, someone more perfect is just around the corner. To choose one woman is to mourn the loss of all others. To enter into a real relationship is to leave the boundless realm of the ideal, and to accept the limitations of the actual. The seducer is terrified of this limitation. He cannot bear the finitude of a single earthly love, because it would force him to confront his own finitude, his own mortality, his own humanity. His flight from one woman to the next is a flight from the responsibilities of manhood, and ultimately a flight from the grounding reality of life itself. In our modern world, the seducer's playground has expanded exponentially. The digital age, with its dating apps and social media, has created a culture of endless options and superficial connections. Relationships are commodified. People become profiles to be swiped, collected, and discarded. The swipe right is the modern equivalent of adding a name to Don Juan's list. It offers the illusion of connection without the risk of vulnerability. This environment nurtures the seducer archetype, encouraging a constant search for the next better thing and fostering a deep-seated fear of missing out. The modern seducer may have hundreds of matches and dozens of encounters, yet he often feels more isolated and alienated than ever. He is surrounded by people, but is profoundly alone. For he has never truly met another person, but the fleeting reflections of his own unending desire. So what is the path of healing for the one caught in this tragic cycle? The cure for the seducer is not another conquest, but a radical turning inward. The journey must shift from the horizontal to the vertical. He must have the courage to stop running and face the very emptiness he has been fleeing. This is the descent into his own hell, the confrontation with the shadow that has been driving him. He must learn that the hunger he feels cannot be satisfied by another person, for it is a spiritual hunger, a longing for his own soul. The work begins with the painful process of withdrawing his anima projections. He must learn to see women not as goddesses or objects, but as fellow human beings, each with their own inner world. And in doing so, he must begin to build a relationship with the woman within. This is the work of active imagination, of art, of introspection, of honoring his feelings and moods not as weaknesses to be overcome, but as messengers from the unconscious. He must learn to find the feminine, not in the arms of 1,000 women, but in the depths of his own psyche. This journey requires the death of the eternal boy. The seducer must consciously sacrifice the fantasy of infinite possibility and accept the sacred limitation of a single, committed choice. This is the leap from the aesthetic to the ethical, the realization that true freedom is not found in the absence of limits, but in the willed embrace of them. It is in the difficult, unglamorous, and often painful work of a real relationship that the seducer has the chance to transform. It is here that Eros, the fiery god of desire, can mature into philia, the steady warmth of friendship, and agape, the selfless, unconditional love for another. The seducer archetype is a profound warning. It shows us that a life dedicated solely to the pursuit of desire, without depth or connection, ultimately leads to a state of living death. Don Juan, surrounded by the ghosts of his conquests, is the loneliest man in the world. Yet the archetype also holds the key to its own redemption. The seducer's wound, the wound of the heart that can never be filled, is the very gateway through which true connection becomes possible. It is only when he accepts his own emptiness that he can finally open himself to the fullness of another and discover that the love he was searching for was not a prize to be won, but a grace to be received.